Not enough of you were talking about yesterday's Congress hearing, which featured whistleblowers exposing the truth about UFOs. In it, an ex-Pentagon official said the government has a secret cabal that is hiding the fact that we are not alone. Beyond that, they also said the government is withholding alien technology that they found and are testing. You cannot miss this video. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and yesterday's Congress hearing was wild. In fact, I got sucked into it this morning, and I watched all 3 hours, and I've now cut down the most important bits so you could hear from these witnesses yourself. I urge you, watch this. This is wild. This is going to blow your mind. These aren't conspiracy theorists. These are real ex-military, Pentagon, NASA people who are trying to get full transparency from the government because unchecked power is keeping it from you. Without further ado, let's watch the best bits from yesterday's hearing.
Former National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster said on Bill Maher's program,
I mean, there are things that cannot be explained. Wow. And so I don't know what the explanation is for those unexplainable things, but I will say that there are phenomena that have been witnessed by multiple people that are just inexplicable by any kind of, the science available to us.
Army Colonel Carl Nell, a member of the federal government UAP task force, said at a conference this past May that
non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new, and it's been ongoing. And there are unelected people in the government that are aware of that.
Unelected people in the government aware and keeping this in check. They're the ones in power of this. This is nuts.
I'm not going to name names, but there are certain individuals who didn't want this hearing to happen because they feared what might be disclosed. But we stood firm. No amount of outside pressure would ever keep me from pursuing a subject to ground, come hell or high water. Representative Luna just told me if I say Immaculate Constellation, I'll be on some list. Maybe a FISA warrant, so come at me, bro, I guess. But
now, this is a group that has now been named that she wasn't supposed to name, and they're going to talk about it more, but I guess I'm now getting on the list as well. She went on in her beginning to sort of just explain how the Pentagon's always been audited and never passed. They cannot be trusted. What's being spent? There were budgets, ginormous, millions and millions of dollars being spent in departments that no one can even check in on or even know exist. This is shady as heck.
Our first witness is retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who retired from the U.S. Navy and is now the Chief Executive Officer at Ocean STL Consulting.
Thank you for this opportunity to testify today regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP. Confirmation that UAPs are real came to me in January of 2015 when I was serving as the commander of the Navy Meteorology and Oceanography Command. At the time, my personnel were participating in a pre-deployment naval exercise off the U.S. East Coast. It included the USS Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group, and this exercise was overseen by the United States Fleet Forces Command, led by a 4-star admiral who at the time was also my superior officer. During this exercise, I received an email on Navy's secure network from the operations officer of U.S. Fleet Forces Command. The email was addressed to all the subordinate commanders, and the subject line read in all capital letters, "Urgent Safety of Flight Issue." The text of the email was brief but alarming, with words to the effect, "If any of you know what these are, tell me ASAP. We are having multiple near mid-air collisions, and if we do not resolve this soon, we are going to have to shut down the exercise." Attached to the email is what is now known as the Go Fast video, captured on the forward-looking infrared sensor of one of the Navy F-A-18 aircraft participating in the exercise. The now declassified video showed an unidentified object exhibiting flight and structural characteristics unlike anything in our arsenal.
And let's be clear, this was declassified and released by the government. This was not some, oh, this was AI, this was made up. Nope, this one was official.
The implication of the email was clear. The author was asking whether any of the recipients were aware of classified technology demonstrations that could explain these objects. Because the DoD policy is to rigorously deconflict such demonstrations with live exercises, I was confident this was not the case. The very next day, that email disappeared from my account and those of the other recipients without explanation. Moreover, the commander of Fleet Forces Command and the operations officer never discussed the subject. Even during weekly meetings specifically designed to address issues affecting exercises like the one in which the Theodore Roosevelt Strike Group was participating. This lack of follow-up was very concerning to me. As the Navy's chief meteorologist at the time, I was responsible for reducing safety of flight risks. Yet it appeared to me that no one at the flag officer level was addressing the safety risk posed by UAPs. Instead, pilots were left to mitigate these threats on their own without guidance or support. Last year's UAP hearing also revealed that elements of the government are engaged in a disinformation campaign to include personal attacks designed to discredit UAP whistleblowers. Having never signed a non-disclosure agreement regarding UAPs, and now as a private citizen, I've become an advocate for greater UAP transparency from the government.
Our second witness is Mr. Lou Elizondo, a former Department of Defense official.
Ex-Pentagon official, guys. This guy's legit.
Let me be clear. UAP are real. Advanced technologies not made by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe. Furthermore, the U.S. is in possession of UAP technologies, as are some of our adversaries. I believe we are in the midst of a multi-decade secretive arms race, one funded by misallocated taxpayer dollars and hidden from our elected representatives and oversight bodies.
Just let that sink in for a second, what you just said. An arms race for alien weaponry that's now being funded by taxpayers through secret departments that we have no idea or monitoring or transparency of. And other competing countries also in this arms race. This is nuts.
For many years, I was entrusted with protecting some of our nation's most sensitive programs. I consider my oath to protect secrets as sacred, and I will always put the safety of the American people first. A small cadre within our own government involved in the UAP topic has created a culture of suppression and intimidation that I've personally been victim to, along with many of my former colleagues. This includes unwarranted criminal investigations, harassment, and efforts to destroy one's credibility. Most Americans would be shocked to learn that the Pentagon's very own Public Affairs Office openly employs a professional psychological operations officer as the singular point of contact for any UAP-related inquiries from citizens and the media.
A psych op is in charge to make everyone look crazy.
This is unacceptable. Many of my former colleagues and I have provided classified testimony to both the Department of Defense and the Intelligence Community Inspector General, and many of us have subsequently been targeted by this cabal with threats to our careers, our security clearances, and even our lives. This is not hyperbole, but a genuine fact, and this is wrong.
Our third witness is Mr. Michael Shellenberger, founder of the newsletter Public and author of a recent journalistic piece about special access programs, including one widely identified as Immaculate Constellation. I swear the staff wants me on a list.
That name is what she's not supposed to say, and she's said it multiple times. Good for her.
Fortunately, there is a growing body of evidence that the U.S. government is not being transparent about what it knows about unidentified anomalous phenomena, and that elements within the military and the IC are in violation of their constitutional duty to notify Congress of their operations. President-elect Donald Trump and former President Barack Obama have both said that the government has information about UAPs that it has not released. We now have existing and former U.S. government officials who have told Congress that AARO and the Pentagon have broken the law by not revealing a significant body of information about UAPs, including military intelligence databases that have evidence of their existence as physical craft.
Now, he mentioned this group, and they've mentioned it before, AARO, this all-domain anomaly resolution office, was sort of put in place by the same organization that's supposed to be checked by themselves, and it's not apparently working. It's unclear where the budgets are going. It's unclear who's actually monitoring it, and it seems like they're doing more of a cover-up job than actually reporting transparency and keeping us honest.
One of those individuals is a current or former U.S. government official acting as a UAP whistleblower. This person has written a report. This is the report that says the executive branch has been managing UAP NHI issues without congressional knowledge, oversight, or authorization for some time, quite possibly decades. Furthermore, these individuals have revealed the name of an active and highly secretive DoD unacknowledged special access program, or USAP. The new UAP whistleblower claims that the U.S. military and IC database includes videos and images taken using infrared, forward-looking infrared, full-motion video, and still photography. The report to Congress details in detail various UAPs, including spheres, orbs, discs, saucers, ovals, triangles, boomerang, arrowhead, and irregular organic. The report describes various incidents found in the human intelligence databases. One involved orbs surrounding and forcing an F-22 out of its patrol area. In another incident, the crew of a Navy aircraft carrier watched a small orange-red sphere rapidly descend from a high altitude of 100 to 200 yards directly above the flight deck of the CVN, or aircraft carrier. And since my reporting on this immaculate constellation last month, another source came forward who told me that they saw a roughly 13-minute-long, high-definition, full-color video of a white orb UAP coming out of the ocean approximately 20 miles off the coast of Kuwait. It was filmed from a helicopter. Then halfway through the video, the person said the orb is joined by another orb that briefly comes into the frame from the left before rapidly moving again out of the frame. The person discovered the video on SIPR, the Secure Internet Protocol Router Network, which the DoD uses to transmit classified information. The government has for decades denied any interest in UFOs, he told me, but the documents that he has assembled show that behind the scenes, it was a completely different story. Contrary to the hopes of many advocates of transparency, the government has been restricting more information since the leak of 3 UAP videos in 2017. The DoD organization AARO has been labeling many documents with a B7 exemption, which Greenwald says does not make any sense. They're stating that anything AARO does is involved in law enforcement investigation, which allows AARO to not release it. Then in September 2022, the Navy admitted that the UAP-related videos and photographs existed, but denied the request in full for their release, saying that the requested videos contain sensitive information that are classified and exempt from disclosure. The DoD will deny things on a Monday and then admit to it on a Friday, said Greenwald. He said the government can and does release videos that protect secret methods of capturing it. They fall back on the sensitive platform excuse a lot, he said. However, the on-screen information can be blurred and scrubbed. The metadata can be removed. I'll show you this example here. This is a presentation from the UATP task force. This is completely absurd. It's nuts, this level of censorship, of redaction on a document. It shows the redaction of how many reports they've collected, for how many years. 2 of the 3 potential explanations are blacked out. The Pentagon, the intelligence community is treating us like children. It's time for us to know the truth about this. I think that we can handle it.
That's the big question of, can we handle it? That's the big theory, and I want your theories down in the comments below. Can we handle it?
Our last witness today is Mr. Michael Gold, a former NASA official who was also a member of the NASA UAP Independent Study Team.
Science requires data, which should be collected without bias or prejudice. Yet, whenever the topic of UAP arises, those who wish to explore the phenomena are often confronted with resistance and ridicule. For example, members of the NASA UAP Independent Study Team, particularly those in academia, were mocked and even threatened for simply having the temerity to engage in the study of UAP.
Former DoD
so depressing. NASA's not even taking it seriously.
Official Chris Mellon reached out to you about satellite imagery from 2017 that depicts a UAP.
The term that the analysts used, they called it the button. It was a disc-shaped object.
State in your testimony that, quote, advanced technologies not by our government or any other government are monitoring sensitive military installations around the globe, end quote. If these technologies are not made by any government, who's making them? Private companies, or are you implying they are crafted by a non-human intelligence?
It may be both.
Both, he suspects.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes.
Now, crash retrieval programs, meaning they actually got they crashed, they retrieved them. He's confirming yes, and there was a lot of talk about that, about how he has proof of that.
Okay, were they designed to identify and reverse engineer alien craft, yes or no?
Yes.
Designed to reverse alien tech so they can control and figure out how to use it.
In your book, you mentioned government employees who've been injured by UAPs, placed on leave and receiving government compensation for their injuries. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How can the government deny we have recovered craft if they're paying people because they've been injured by recovered craft?
Ma'am, that's a great question. That's why I think we're here again, because I've seen the documentation by the U.S. government for several of these individuals who have sustained injuries as a result of a UAP incident.
Immaculate Constellation.
That's the group.
What's its mission and how are they funded?
It's an unacknowledged special access program. Its mission is to document UAPs. I think that what the American people need to know is that the U.S. military and intelligence community are sitting on a huge amount of visual and other information, still photos, video photos, other sensor information, and they have for a very long time. And it's not those fuzzy photos and videos that we've been given. There's very clear
high
images,
res,
high resolution.
How many visuals, graphics, videos, photos?
I mean, I've been told hundreds
All the cameras and satellites we have in the sky, it's always a blurry, sketchy little thing. We don't know what it is. That makes us look even dumber, to be honest.
Maybe thousands. I mean, I also wanted to say, because there was some conversation around concern around the revealing of these materials, revealing the source collections, but some of these are shot from helicopters using normal.
So like no
You
excuse.
said you signed a document. Love that. Who gave that to you?
The U.S. government, sir.
Okay, you have a copy of it?
It is stored in a SCIF right now. I do not have possession of it. The U.S. government does.
What department of the U.S. government gave you this document?
I will say the Department of Defense. Unfortunately, I can't say in this forum much more than that.
So a secret department in the Department of Defense that he can't say because he signed a document.
Specifically said the document said you can't talk about crash retrieval. Well, you can't talk about Fight Club if there's no Fight Club.
Correct.
Okay, I'm just making an observation. Right, so you're not some conspiracy theorist. You actually have a legitimate background.
Well, sir, I'm certainly not a conspiracy theorist. I'm fact-based. Just called
He's
trying
fact-based,
repercussions.
lot of
I wouldn't have
experience.
access.
You weren't allowed to ask for a lawyer to review the document?
It wasn't an option, but they probably wouldn't have allowed me to, because the document itself was pretty explicit.
How would you characterize UAPs?
An enigma, sir, and a frustration. We're talking about technologies that can outperform anything we have in our inventory. And if this was an adversarial technology, this would be an intelligence failure eclipsing that of 9/11 by an order of magnitude.
To your knowledge, have any USOs ever outpaced our submarines?
Yes, ma'am.
At what magnitude?
I don't have the exact speed, but again, a witness came to me, a credible former submarine officer who observed it on sonar data. And this was in the 80s in the North Atlantic.
Yeah, not
during a storm,
hillbillies.
and it
Military
outpaced
personnel.
his submarine by orders of magnitude.
So are you, I guess, would it be safe to infer that they're living craft?
I'm not prepared at this point to state for the record is something alive or not, because even that definition is hard. There was a time in science we thought that life required.
He explains
having to reevaluate.
he doesn't even. They can't even say they're not alive. Like the ships themselves could be alive.
Or these aircraft, and then as a result, whether or not they're religious, find that these things will automatically disappear. Anyone, and this is open to any of you on the panel.
This was a piece
Country
of
that
this.
might have access to it.
Thank you, and I apologize for stepping out. My
I
governor
wanted to
is
end on
here
this bit.
upstairs, so I'm trying to get in between meetings, so apologize for that. Believe, just for the record, that the federal government, any part of the federal government, is knowingly concealing evidence about UAPs from the public.
Yes, sir.
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you believe UAPs could be or are?
Strong evidence that they are non-human, higher intelligence.
I echo my colleague's comment, sir.
Two of the most people there, not the journalist and the NAS guy who doesn't have any information. The two with the information, non-human threats.
Genuinely do not know.
Don't know, but we must find out.
Former
we must
national
find out indeed. This is crazy. There's a lot to digest there. The fact that they allegedly, from these experts, have collected the alien technology, the crashed ships or weapon, I don't know what it is, potential living ships that they've caught, they're now keeping into a secret agency that they are trying to work and negotiate and figure out, can we actually activate this technology for ourselves? Look, there's clearly a reason to keep this secret, to say, well, this is crazy. This would blow everyone's minds. This questions religion and so many other things. I understand there could be mass chaos if aliens were actually to step out and admit, we're real, here we are. And then there's the whole issue, like Independence Day, a friend or foe. You got certain groups want to kill them, the other ones want to study them. It's clearly going to be chaos. But at this point, enough's enough. And I absolutely believe my theory, and I'm not trying to get political at all, I think this next presidency, we're going to get something out of it between Trump and Elon, who I think Elon has not been honest about his experience with the UFOs, with all his satellites and things he's doing in space. I find it shocking when he's on Joe Rogan talking about this. Oh, we have no evidence of it. These people are hiding something. There is more coming. Make sure you've hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. What are your theories? I'm not trying to shoot anybody down, but I'm telling you, we are not getting the full truth. The truth is out there. Leave your comments down below. Share this video. Get the word out. Something is coming. We will keep you posted.